You slide out of your mother, somewhere in South America, and three more come out right behind you. All four of you are identical, born from the same single egg, so you look exactly alike. Your shells are soft and leathery against the dirt floor of the burrow, and your eyes are sealed shut, so you press close to your mother and stay there. Skip forward a few days and your eyes open. Your mother pushes toward the burrow entrance and you follow her legs out into the open ground. The light hits you all at once and you stop moving for a second, taking in the size of everything around you. The grass towers above you, the roots cross in every direction, and the ground stretches further than you can follow. Then a beetle moves across the dirt a few body lengths ahead and you go after it with your claws scratching against the soil. But you're too slow, and it disappears under a root before you get close. One of your siblings cuts in from the side and snaps it up without slowing down. That's the first thing you learn out here. So you push further from the entrance, moving along the base of a tree with your nose low to the ground. You find a patch of loose soil and start digging into it with your front claws, pulling the dirt back in small bursts. A grub rolls out from the broken soil and you pin it down and eat it whole. That's your first meal, and it takes you less than a minute to want another one. Then your mother stops and pulls back toward the burrow entrance with her body dropping low to the ground. You follow her inside without knowing why, and she presses you all against the back wall. Something moves past the entrance and keeps going. You stay still until she moves again. You've been outside for less than an hour, and something has already found you. Skip forward a few weeks, and your mother has started taking you further from the burrow each day. Your shell has hardened a little more, and your claws are strong enough now to break through packed soil. So she leads you to a patch of ground near a fallen log and starts digging. You watch her front claws work in short, fast strokes, pulling dirt back between her back legs, and you copy her exactly. Your first attempt barely scratches the surface, but you keep going, pushing deeper until the soil breaks open and a grub rolls out. You pin it down and eat it, and that's enough to keep you digging for the rest of the afternoon. Then your mother stops with her whole body going still against the ground. You stop too, watching her. A hawk drops from above and lands a few body lengths away with its head turning side to side, trying to find what it spotted from above. Your mother presses flat and you do the same, with your shell sitting tight against the dirt. The hawk walks closer, trying to figure out what you are, then grabs at your shell with one talon. But the shell gives it nothing to grip, so it pulls back and stands there for a moment before lifting off and going back up. After it leaves, your mother doesn't go back to digging. Instead, she moves in a different direction entirely, away from the fallen log and toward a slope further from the open ground. She starts a new burrow there, digging fast and deep until there's enough room for both of you inside. That's the second thing you've learned out here. One burrow is never enough. You need a backup, somewhere the things above you don't know about yet. You'll keep building new ones as you grow. But at some point, you won't have her leading the way anymore, and you'll have to find the right ground yourself. You're 3 months old now, and your mother stopped coming back to the burrow 4 days ago. Your siblings have already spread out in different directions, so you're on your own. You know how to dig, you know how to find grubs, and you know to press flat when something moves above you. That's enough to start with. You spend the first few days working the ground near the burrows your mother built, but the grubs there are running out, so you need to move further out to find more. You follow a stretch of soil along a dry creek bed, with your nose low to the ground and your claws testing the dirt every few steps. The grubs are deeper here, and it takes longer to reach them, but there are more of them packed into the same patches of soil, so the work is worth it. Then you reach a wide open stretch of ground with no roots, no logs, and nothing to press against if something comes from above. You need to cross it to reach the area where the soil banks up against a slope on the other side. So you start moving across with your legs working fast and your head low. You're about halfway across when a caracara drops from above and drives its talons into your back with its full weight behind the strike. The impact rolls you sideways, but your shell takes the hit and you curl tight, pulling your head and legs in and holding the curl. The bird grips the edge of your shell with its talons, trying to find a soft spot, and pecks at the joints between your plates. But there's nothing to get through, so after a long while it steps back and lifts off. You uncurl, check your legs, and finish crossing. The soil on the other side is exactly what you were looking for. You've made it through your first real test alone, but the further you range from those burrows, the more ground you'll need to defend from others doing the same thing. You're 8 months old now, and you've built 3 burrows along a stretch of riverbank with good soil and plenty of grubs running through it. This is your ground, and you've been working it for weeks. Then one morning you come back to your main burrow, and find another armadillo already inside. He's slightly bigger than you, and he comes out slowly when you dig at the entrance with your claws, with his shell sitting high and his head low. You need him off your ground, so you circle him with your claws, scraping against the dirt and your head angled toward his side. He holds his position and bumps his shell into yours, trying to push you back with his weight behind it. He's heavier, so the first push moves you a full body length sideways. You reset and circle again, this time moving him toward the base of an old tree where the roots break up the ground into uneven ridges. He follows, trying to keep his footing, and you wait until he steps onto a root and his back leg drops into the gap beside it. That's all you need. You drop your head and drive into his side with your full weight behind the hit, and he rolls sideways down the bank with his legs kicking against the air. He rights himself at the bottom, stands still for a moment with his head pointing back up the slope, then turns and walks away along the bank without looking back. That's the end of it. You go inside your burrow and stay there for a while before going back out to dig. You've held your ground once, but you're still small enough that a bigger male could do the same thing to you just as easily. And the rains are coming. When the river rises, everything on this bank is going to change. You're 1.5 years old when the river comes up over its banks and starts pushing across the ground in a wide, flat sheet of water. It reaches your main burrow first, pouring in through the entrance and filling it from the bottom up, so you pull yourself out fast and move to higher ground. But the water keeps rising, and within a short while it's covering everything between you and the slope on the other side of the flooded ground. You need to get across, but the current is pulling at your legs and your shell is too heavy to let you float for long. What you can do, though, is something most animals out here can't. Armadillos can swallow enough air to keep their body from sinking. So you pull in a full breath, let your legs drop to the riverbed, and start walking across the bottom with your claws gripping the mud and your body staying low against the current pushing over you. It takes a while, but the water gets shallower as the ground rises on the other side, and you come up out of it onto a slope where the soil banks up above the flood line. You dig a shallow burrow into the slope and stay there. 3 days later, the water pulls back, and you go down to check what's left of your territory. The burrows are gone, packed with mud and debris, and the ground along the bank has been scraped flat. But the flood has done something useful. It's pushed grubs up toward the surface all across the area, so you work the ground for the rest of the day with your claws pulling them out in clusters, eating more in a few hours than you normally would in 2 full days. You'll need to rebuild everything from scratch. And this time, you're big enough that other armadillos will be watching to see what ground you claim. 2 years old now, and your shell has reached its full hardness with your claws at their strongest. You've been covering more ground than usual over the past few weeks, pushing further from your burrows and crossing into stretches of open ground you normally avoid. Something is pulling you to keep moving, and you follow it without stopping to question why. One afternoon, you cross paths with a female moving along the base of a slope. You follow behind her with your head low and your claws pulling you forward at a steady pace. Then another male comes out from the tree line and walks between you and her with his shell sitting high and his head pointed toward you. You need him gone, so you drop your head and drive into his side with your full weight behind the hit, with your shell connecting hard against his. He turns and bites down on your leg, but your shell covers it so his teeth catch the edge of the plate instead of finding anything useful. So you spin fast and ram into him again, harder this time, and he breaks into a run along the base of the slope and keeps going. You turn back and the female is still ahead, moving slowly. You catch up and stay close behind her for the rest of the afternoon. By the end of it, you've mated. Then she walks away and you let her go without following. That's it. Your part is done. Somewhere in a few months, 4 identical armadillos will come out of the ground from that one afternoon, and they'll go through everything you went through, learning the same things the same hard way, with no idea you were ever involved. You've reached full size and held your ground against every challenge so far, but the dry season is coming, and it's going to test you in a way that nothing else has yet. You're 4 years old, and the dry season has baked the ground into a solid crust that your claws can barely break through. The grubs have gone deeper than you can reach, so you've been covering twice the distance each day just to find half the food. You work a cracked patch of soil near a dry creek bed, scraping through the surface layer with your front claws and pulling out whatever is close enough to grab. Then, an ocelot steps out from behind a boulder and lunges before you have time to move away. You curl fast, pulling your head and legs in tight and pressing your shell closed around you. It bats you sideways with one paw, rolling you across the ground, then bites down hard on your shell with its full jaw strength behind it. But the shell gives nothing, so it tries a different approach, batting you again and again with both paws, trying to flip you onto a soft edge that isn't there. After a long while of getting nowhere, it grips the rim of your shell with its teeth and shakes hard, trying to pry it open. Your whole body shakes with it, but the plates hold together and your legs stay tucked inside. Eventually, it steps back and stands over you, watching and waiting for you to uncurl. You stay still for a long while after you can't see its shadow anymore. Then you uncurl slowly, check that your legs are working, and turn back to the patch of soil you were digging before it arrived. The grub you were working toward is still there, 3 inches down, so you pull it out and eat it. You've made it through 4 dry seasons now, each one harder than the last. But you're slowing down, and out here, the moment you stop being fast enough to curl in time, something will be waiting to take advantage of it. You're 6 years old, and you've been following the same creek bed for 2 days, working a stretch of soil near the water where the ground stays soft enough for your claws to break through. Your legs are slower than they used to be, and you cover less ground each day. But this stretch has been good to you, and you keep coming back to it. You're digging with your head down and your front claws pulling dirt back in short bursts when the water beside you moves. Not a ripple, but a full shift of weight just below the surface. You start to lift your head, but there's no time to curl. A caiman that has moved inland along the creek during the wet season launches out of the shallows with its jaws already open and clamps down around your entire body before your legs can pull in. The jaws don't try to crack through your shell from the top. Instead, they squeeze around the whole width of you, with the pressure building from every side at once, so your shell has nothing to push back against. Your legs stop moving within a few seconds. The caiman pulls you back into the water and wedges you under a root along the bank to hold you in place while it works at the edges of your shell. The creek keeps moving past you. The soil you were digging stays open where you left it, with the loose dirt still sitting in a small pile beside the hole. By the following morning, another armadillo is working the same patch of ground, its claws pulling through the same loose soil, following the same line of grubs deeper into the creek bed. It doesn't know you were ever there, and it's already making the same mistakes you made at the very beginning.